Hello, friends, and welcome back into the Design Mat. And I am so glad to be here. Happy Wednesday, friends. Happy Wednesday. Wow, can you guys believe it's like we're halfway now through the second week of July already? I don't know where the time goes, guys. I don't. But we're already in the second week of July, halfway through another week. Oh my goodness. I hope you guys are having a good one, whatever you're doing. I am playing with beautiful beads today, and so happy to be doing just that. My happy place right here. I'm so glad to be here. Guys, I am working still in Seashores. So if you are in project mode and following along with inspiration and design ideas for your sparkle bags, I am in Seashores still, which is my June sparkle bag Seashores. Still, we're still at the beach, guys. I haven't had enough of the beach. I don't think any of you have either. I hope not, right? I love the beach and love beach jewelry and just these beautiful colors of summer. As you can tell from the thumbnail, we are making basically a cuff bracelet, and we're going to utilize memory wire and then some craft wire to do that cool chevron effect. So if you are not familiar with how to use memory wire to make your own version of a cuff or a stack bracelet or a bangle, you could call it any of those things. I kind of like, I guess, call it a cuff, or a chevron technique, then you're in luck, because that's what we're doing today. And I hope you guys enjoy and are inspired. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for continuing to grow this beautiful community. It's just amazing. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. And thank you, one and all, for your continued support. End of July. So, guys, let's get into a fun bracelet, shall we? So, let me zoom you in and talk you through what supplies I'm working with. And then we'll get going. So, you can do just about anything you want for a cuff, right? Now, here is one you probably see me wear a ton on my channel. I use memory wire for this one. It is a 5-link bracelet. I don't know how to call it. A five link, 5 rings, 5 bracelets. It's a 5 bracelet cuff is what it is. And I did this about probably a year ago, you guys. Maybe even longer on my channel. Quite a while ago. Maybe it was last summer. Something similar. So when we're doing a cuff, guys, lots of fun ways that we can accomplish doing a cuff. We can use craft wire. We can also use memory wire. This one in particular, we're not going to do this style today, but I did some, I think this might have been craft wire, either that or an eye pen, to connect that together. So there's lots and lots of ways to make a cuff, and how many, rotations, how many bracelets is completely a design aesthetic. We are going to do 3 today. And what I'm working with, friends, is my memory wire. And we are going to use some 26 gauge craft wire in my almost like electric royal blue. Is such a beautiful, so it's going to have this a nice pop of blue on this bracelet. You can also, friends, use 28 gauge. You can use 24 gauge. And I've also done this technique in 22 gauge. So that's really just preference. The thicker gauge wire, obviously, the thicker your wraps are going to be, right? So really, that's just a design aesthetic, but I'm going to use the thin 26 gauge today. And then I'm using 4 beads from Seashores. I am using, on 2 of my strands that are already done, I'm using the peach opaque 8mm rondelles, and then that, I think it was either the sky blue or the sunrise mix, something like that. And I went every other. With those rondelles. I just did a random pattern of every other. I just think it looks so pretty. And the transition with that pop of that peach opaque with those other, that mixed rondelle strand of opaque is just, it works for me. I just like it. And then, friends, I'm going to use the 2-tone rondelles in the light cyan, the 8mm, and then the beautiful sea green 8mm crystals. Okay, so that's what I'm using for my supplies. Now let's get into the technique of it, if you are not familiar. And by the way, because many of you are always asking, I will try to always remember my jewelry that I'm wearing. So this I made, gosh, guys, I think this was out of Lilac Dreams. It's just a simple double strand. I did use some wire guardians for this one. Just a really simple pattern. We put a little check glass in there and some moonstone. This was probably about a month and a half ago. You will find this bracelet in my bracelets playlist. And then I just did a little bit of leather. Did a couple, I think I did a barrel knot here and an overhand knot here and here, and used a portion of the leather for our closure on my bar portion of my toggle, the cute little flower there. Just a really fun, simple little bracelet. So that's what that is. Let's get over to our project, friends. So memory wire, friends. I think the best advice I could give you guys in making a multi-strand cuff is trying to get your bracelets as close as you can to the same size. Now, they do not have to be perfect, and they're not going to be perfect, right? Because maybe our loops are all going to be just a little bit different. You know, we do our best, right? But in this case, I'm going to get mine as close as I can because obviously all of these rondelles are exactly the same size on both colors and both of my bracelets. So I got those exactly this, pretty much exactly the same. However, these are a different size. I think these might be 8x7, where these are 8x6. And then our 8mm crystals here are a little bit different size. So this one, just to give you a little perspective, on this bracelet we're going to do together, I have 12 on each side here. So that would be 24. I think it's going to wind up being 24 of the two-tone cyan and the light cyan. And I have 7 of my sea green crystals. We'll see when we get there how close it is, or if we need to add or take away, we can do that. So all I did, friends, is I cut 3 rotations of my memory wire, all pretty much exactly, you know, as close as I could to the same rotations. Okay, so it's like 1.5 rotations for each length, but that just depends on the size of your wrist. Okay, and of course, with memory wires, it's going to expand and contract, right? Like a slinky. So don't be deterred when you start to cut your memory wire, by the way this looks, because obviously as I fed my beads on, right, it's going to expand, right? So what we'll do as we go along here in a minute is I'm going to feed on what I have pulled out, and then we will pretty much pull it apart, we'll match it up and do the best we can to match the third bracelet. And then we'll get to the fun stuff, which is our chevron wrap. So in order to get started, friends, all I did was I made a simple loop. You can use your bail making, your round nose, whatever you prefer. And also you can turn your loops, friends, any direction. You can pull them up, you can turn them in. I prefer to roll my loops up and out. And for me, it's just because when I'm wearing my bracelet, I don't like the loop down poking on my skin. But that's just a complete preference. A lot of people like to turn them in. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It does not matter at all for this technique, whether you put your loop rolling it up and out or down and in. It does not matter. We're just going to roll in a simple loop. So I'm going to put my pliers right to the edge. I'll pull you in a little bit. I'm going to put them around the middle of my plier there. And I'm going to make sure that that memory wire is not sticking up above my round nose. I am going to try to make sure that that's good and flush. And then I'm just going to turn in a loop. Now, this is memory wire, so you're probably going to have to continue to adjust like I'm doing here until you can get that loop in. Now, it does not have to be completely touching your other wire, friends. Now, it can be, if you can get it, but it doesn't have to be. Because these loops, obviously, are just going to act like a stopper, right? And now what I'm going to do, friends, is just simply feed on my pattern. That's the easy stuff. And so, like I said, on this particular bracelet, this one's going to be in the middle of the 3. I'm doing 12 of the two-tone light cyan rondelles. Then I'm going to put on 7 of that seafoam crystal, or sea green. I think it's sea green. Might be sea green. And then another 12 of the two-tone light cyan here on the other side. We'll see if that matches up to the other bracelets. I guess that's that. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so I've got my 12, 7, and 12. Now, my friends, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold this. Now, again, you know, some of this wire, I will cut it. Okay? But before I do that, I am going to see where I'm at. So, I am going to hold these bracelets. So, I've got these beads kind of pushed up, holding them here. I'm just going to try my best to get this lined up with this other bracelet without these beads falling off. So, see, I'm already getting a gap right here, so let me push those down. So I'm just going to, again, we just do our best. So I'm just going to try my best here to keep these lined up, and then let this guy kind of come around, and let me see where I need to cut and make my loop. And obviously you can see I'm kind of pulling my bracelets apart. It's about the only way I can keep them together, trying to line them up here. And again, it does not have to be perfect, but, you know, that is pretty close. So I think that's good. It's good. It's going to have to be close enough. Okay? Going to have to be close enough. So now let me get that cut. So I'm going to cut probably at about, maybe about, about a 1/4 of an inch or so to turn in my loop. Just going to cut that about right there. And now, just going to turn it in the loop again. So I'm just going to put that in my plier to the edge there, and we will turn in a loop. Now, when I was mentioning that a minute ago, friends, about your loops, now, if you can get them perfect, good for you. Where they are touching, your loop is touching the inside of your wire. That is going to come into play right now as we're about to pull in our 26 gauge wire and start wrapping, but it does not necessarily, your loop does not have to meet your wire. Now, get it as close as you can, such as I just did. But at any rate, you'll see what I mean in a second. Our wire, the thin gauge wire, is gonna, we're gonna try to anchor it here, but it may, you know, come out because my loops are not completely touching, but that's okay. You'll see what I mean in a second. So what I'm gonna do, let me pull you, I'm gonna keep you in pretty close here for a second. So this will be my middle strand, and then my 2 outer strands. So what we're gonna do, guys, is we are gonna get these guys somehow. It's a little fidgety, but we can get it, okay? But you gotta kind of almost use your entire hand like this because you're wanting to keep these strands somewhat out of your way. Okay, and then we're gonna try to keep them lined up the best we can. And I'm working with 3 strands, right? So, again, when I'm holding these over here and I'm holding these over here, you know, they are not perfectly straight or even on either side, but that it's close enough for me. Okay, it's just a cuff bracelet. Okay, so we have that going for us. Now what I'm gonna do, friends, to get going is I'm going to work right off my spool of my wire here, and I'm gonna unwind a whole bunch of it. I am going to straighten it out with my nylon jaw, and I just like to work off the spool because you do use quite a bit of wire for the chevron. So most of this is going to be probably out of camera, which is fine. And I'll just keep straightening and unwinding it off the spool as I go. Okay, so I have a good amount there started. Okay, so to start, friends, what I'm going to do, again, is I'm kind of holding all my bracelets here. Now, they're going to want to start to go like this, right? They're going to want to vie for attention within the divots of each section of your little beads, right? You want to try to avoid that the best we can until we've got some stiffness with this wire here established. Otherwise, what we don't want is our bracelets to be coming out, you know, like this. Then it just looks wrong, right? So we do our best, and it is a little fidgety to get started, but we'll get it, okay? And you'll see what I mean in about 2 seconds. So I'm going to keep those right there. I'm going to grab my wire. I'm going to put it through all 3 of my loops here, and this is going to hang out. I'm going to put a good amount, maybe leave like about 3 inches of a tail over here to the side for a second. Okay. Just to get myself started. We need to get that anchored, and it will pop up like you see it's wanting to pop up above my loop like I was just talking about. That's okay. It's going to do that until I get it started. So let's see. Okay, so now I am going to take this tail and I am going to wrap it around all 3 of these bracelets just like that. Okay, and we'll come back to it. Okay, now I am going to begin, friends. Let me get things out of the way. Okay, so now what we're going to do in order to start our chevron, we are going to be putting our wire basically in between our beads. So we are going to go over here to this first bead. We're going to come underneath and go straight down. And now I'm going to start to really pull this wire tight, okay? And then I'm going to go right over to the next bead. And then I'm going to come straight down. Now, I have done this chevron many times before on my channel. It's been a while, but I've never done it on 3 strands. Okay, so do you see how we started in that first area? We went straight down. Now we're going to come on a diagonal to the very next bead, and I'm going underneath. Now I'm coming up in between the beads, and my next one, I'm going to put it right across, right in between those beads. I'm going to come up underneath. I'm going to try to pull it tight and go straight down. And you see how my bracelets are wanting to separate. This is where we need to do our best to try to pull our wire as tight as we can. Okay, so I'm going to go straight down again. And now I'm going to go over on a diagonal and come under and then down and then to the next one. So we're just basically weaving this wire in between each bead. Okay, so see now, see, he's still wanting to slip, so I'm having to keep putting them together. That's okay. I'll get it. Once we're about halfway down our run here, our bracelet will begin to tighten up, and it won't want to wiggle on us anymore. But until we get to that point, we are going to want to see if we can keep him straight here. Okay, so I'm going down and then up. And then down and up. Okay, let me get some more wire unwound here. And straight. And so we're just going to keep doing this all the way until we get to the end. And then we'll come back the other direction. So let me see if I'm even over here, because it's starting to get tight on me. So my adjustment opportunity is going to be slipping away at this point, right? Because my wire is starting to get tight. So I am just trying to keep that as even as I can, as this blue wire is actually doing its job, right? It's starting to make my cuff. So it's really starting to stiffen this up. That's just exactly what I want. So I'm just going to continue to go in between my beads. So I'm pretty close to my end here. And you see what happened is, you know, they're not going to be even on this end, but that's okay. I'm okay. Not terribly worried because it's really hard to get them exact. We get it as good as we can get it. It's still going to be beautiful. And when I'm about ready to come to the end here, what we're going to do is we're going to stop right there. Okay. And now what I'm doing, guys, is I am going to stop this right here, and we're going to go over back to the beginning, to where we started, and now we can get rid of this wire so we can fix this. So there's a lot of ways that you can anchor your wire, friends. Basically, you just need to do a bunch of wraps to simply anchor it, and I like to do it around one at a time. And I'll show you that right now. So now that I've got my bracelet totally wrapped up, let me zoom you guys in here and show you what I do. I'm going to take that out of those loops. I'm going to straighten this back out. So now I have straight wire again. And then, let me get things out of the way. What I'll do, guys, is I'm going to go down each loop and I'm going to put a wrap. So I'm going to do this really tight. So there's a wrap there. And now I'm going to come up and over that middle bracelet. And I'm going to put a wrap right around that twice. Right? And I'm going to come up. And let me get that wire through my loop right there. And now I'm going to come down. So now my wire's over here. So now I'm going to come up and over that third loop there. And I'm put a couple wraps in there. And you're good. Our wire, let me tuck that guy down in there. Our wire is anchored. All three of our bracelets are anchored together. They're not going anywhere. You can do that as many times as you want. I do 2 or 3 on each. It does not matter. You can tuck your wraps in. Make them nice and tight there. And you're good to go. We can come back the other way if we wanted to, but I'm fine with that. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that excess. And just grab some pliers. Sorry I'm making so much noise on the side of my table. And we're just going to tuck that wire in. And that's what we've got. Okay. And so now, let me pull you out a little bit. Now we're going to go back the other way, the other direction. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to put our wire now in between the beads that we didn't just wrap. So because we put the wire in between these guys, now coming back the other way, we're going to put it in between like that. Okay? So again, I'm going to push this bracelet apart so it's out of my way. What I'm going to do, before I go back the other direction, I'm going to go ahead and end my last wrap here. I am going to do a couple of wraps over that first one, come down, and then do the same thing I just did. Go up and around that middle strand a couple times. I'm just anchoring my wire, basically. Okay, nice and tight. And now I'll come up and around that third outer bracelet there. And we'll get that wire anchored in there. Couple of wraps. That's fine. It's not going anywhere. Okay, and now I'm going to come back this direction now that I have got my wire anchored here, friends. My wire's on the bottom. Now I'm going to want to be wrapping up and around this way, going this direction. So I am going to go and start with this first one right here. Okay, I'm gonna go down, I'm coming up, I'm gonna go right to that first bead, but I'm going right over like an X over the previous wire wraps I did. Okay, let me stop, guys. Let me get a bunch of my wire unraveled here and straightened out with my spool. And we'll continue. Okay, so we're just gonna keep wrapping like that. So we're gonna come down, under, and now we're really pulling tight. Down and over. And now we have our chevron taking effect. And there we go. So I'm coming right to the right, directly to the next bead center of the next two bead sections, and I'm going over that previous wire and down, right? And then right directly to the next one and down. And up and over and down. And now it's really easy. Much easier to get our wraps in now. And there we go, guys. And look at how fun that is. I get some more wire. Isn't that so fun? Look at how pretty that is. Isn't it just, oh, I love this. I hope you guys are enjoying. I get so excited when I just do like happy, pretty things. I don't know. I just love this style. And I love this pop of like blue on these very pastel, beachy colors. I love it. I think it looks so pretty. Something just happened there. What happened? Okay, we'll go here and there. All right. So yeah, guys, I think that this is so fun with this pop of blue. Now I'm gonna turn my bracelet around. And keep on going until I get all the way to the end. I will fast forward here, guys, but I will see you guys in just a minute, and we'll finish it off. Okay, guys, I am just about at my last couple of runs here, and so I am right here. Okay, so now I'm gonna come down and go up, and now this is my last section of beads, and I'm gonna basically do exactly what I did to get started. I'm gonna take this wire, well, don't go over there, let's come over here where we belong. Okay, and I am just going to take and wrap this wire around each of my loops, and again, I'm gonna pull it really, you know, give it a little grit, guys. Let's make sure it's nice and sturdy. We do not need to be fussing with that wire in the future, right? So I just did 2 wraps, and now I'm gonna come up and over in that center loop there and do a couple of wraps there. And now I'm gonna come up and around and over on that 3rd loop. And again, just trying to tuck those loops in and make that as tight as I can get it. You can even go through the loop if you want, like that. And, you know, just make sure you get some good tight wraps in there so your wire is tucked tighty. And do that twice, and we should be fine. Should not give you any trouble in the future. So long as we're anchoring this wire tight, guys, you should be good, basically. And I'm obviously having, I don't know what I just went like the wrong way. What did I just do? Okay, because something very weird just happened. Okay, I'm going to have to back that out. I didn't go through all that work for nothing. But something just happened. I'm not sure what. I think I went around the wrong way is what happened. So that's an easy fix because it is good and anchored. I'm just going to go ahead and take that little mess and bye-bye. That's fine. Bye-bye. And we're just going to make sure you're tucked in. That's about what I'm going to do to fuss with that. I don't know what I just did as I was talking to you guys. That escapes me, but I can tell you that my wire is anchored. My anchored is wire. There you go. There's my vocabulary, guys. There's today's vocabulary lesson. You say your words backwards or invert them. Okay, and I'm just squeezing that, guys. And there we go. So that is what mine looks like. So you see that one, what happened. See, they vied and they just had to go there, but that's okay. It's still just beautiful. And I just want to show you guys how sensational this is. Now, when we get to the center, look at what ended up happening as I was doing my wraps. My wire is almost going right through the center of all those crystals. That's what we've got. And of course, let's do the try on test and see what's beautiful thing that we made on a Wednesday. Oh my gosh, this color scheme, you guys, I cannot. Oh, okay, you know what? I have a cuff bracelet. Love it. I made a cuff bracelet. Love that. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's so pretty. And it overlaps just a smidge, with the contraction of the memory wire, but not much. It's just perfect. But I also, I could wear it up as well, I hope you guys enjoyed and are inspired to make yourself a beautiful chevron pattern cuff bracelet out of seashores or any beautiful beads that you guys have. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, my friends, be blessed.